Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast, episode 847, season 15 premiere. I'm your host, Ril Gerald Quinn, on this beautiful Wednesday evening. As we discuss the world of sports and pop culture, of course, we are going to look back at a eventful, to say the least, week one in the National Football League. As always, I'm joined by my partner here, Robert Sapp, who I'm sure is giddy, coming off the Thursday that he had last Thursday night. Mr. Sapp, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, sir. Just wonderful. Just wonderful. Sports life couldn't be better.
Yes, you are living a charmed football sports life.
I'm in a good place. I'm in a good place.
So before we get to it, season 15 of this podcast, of course, the original date back in that the podcast premiered on was 10/8/08, but I always move it up because of the football season. Makes sense to start it when football starts. Mr. Sapp has been a part of how God knows how many episodes and year. I forgot what year you even started. You and Chad as well, but at least it's been at least close to it, if not a decade, close to it. Your thoughts on 15 years of the Real Deal podcast, the many names we went through?
I mean, we've gone through a lot of different iteration. We've gone through a lot of different topics, and all of them have been fantastic and great to talk about. But nothing is sweeter being here, because in that entire time frame, I've never been able to talk about my Buffalo Bills and Super Bowl aspirations. So even though I've been doing this for a long time, this is brand new territory.
Yeah, no,
couldn't be better. Start year 15 off, season 15 with you, and then just and my teams as overwhelming Super Bowl favorites.
So
life is good.
Life is great for you. As always, we have started with our themes. For me, the theme throughout week one was O-line play, and it's all about us. I will expound on that. It's all about us later on. The offensive line play across the league is very concerning to me. There are a lot of shaky offensive lines, and especially some offensive lines on teams who consider themselves contenders. We'll talk more about that. Let's begin with your Buffalo Bills, circling the wagons. They come out last Thursday, and you know I got that from.
I know.
A little throwback line. They come back out last Thursday, played a B- game, and simply dominate the world champion, reigning Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams. I have a few things to say, but you being the Buffalo Bills, the Bills Mafia, the stage is yours. What were your thoughts?
So I don't know. I want to actually. If you want to start, please start, because I have so much to say. So I'd be interested in hearing like your thoughts on my team, because it's just all gonna be pretty much glowing stuff.
Yeah. So a couple things. Number one, there was this narrative after the game, especially even into the weekend, that was talking about, well, what's wrong with the Rams? And the Rams are off. I'm concerned about the Rams. Folks, let me tell you something. That game was not about the Rams. Okay. It's not. The Rams are who we thought they were going to be. They are a very good team. They will be in the playoffs. They gonna have 99. There's a reason why a team has not repeated since the Patriots, 17 years ago. Teams don't repeat in this day and age for the NFL. It just doesn't happen. So I didn't get the whole panic button push on the Los Angeles Rams. That game was not about the Rams. That game was about a team that is playing against another team in the NFL that we'll talk about later on in the conference. They're playing against them, but more importantly, they're playing against themselves. That's kind of connected to my theme. It's all about us. The Buffalo Bills are at that level where we love to see our sports teams, as far as even if they're not your team per se, that developing team that is on the doorstep of being a champion. And we love to see how that if that team could knock down the door, a la Bulls, Pistons, a la Pistons over the Celtics. That if you're a pure sports fans, that is what you live for. That team that is on the come up, young, talented, all the pieces. Do they have the mental fortitude, and do they have the toughness to knock down that door? That was a message game. That was a statement game. That was a game that was purely about the Buffalo Bills. It wasn't even about the Rams. I could care less about the Rams in that game, to be honest with you. I could absolutely care less about the Rams. Only, well, not I shouldn't say all the way, because obviously I gotta give Buffalo their credit for defeating a quality team like the Rams. But you know what I mean. I was coming from a perspective of, I was looking at the Buffalo Bills and how their approach, the coaching, the execution, all the little things that I was trying to see if this team is legitimate, should this team legitimately be the Super Bowl favorites. And they crossed off all the boxes minus the 4 turnovers, which will have to get cleaned up, but all the boxes were crossed off. You had the superstar quarterback. You're a well-ran machine from an organizational standpoint from start to finish. You add the Von Miller, impactful, Jamison Crowder, impactful. Get Cole Beasley, get the fuck out of here. The running backs, they crossed off all the boxes. You can win in multiple ways. You should have scored 40, but you can also, the Rams also didn't score after halftime. So you hold the Rams to 243 yards, 9 for 10 on third downs. And again, once you cleaned up the mistakes at halftime, it was like a man day. It was like the JV versus the varsity versus the JV. So I was thoroughly impressed. The rest of the league should, minus Kansas City, should be scared, because that's the best. They are, along with the Chiefs, the best team in football, pure and simple. That's it. That's 1A, however you want to put it. You want to put Kansas City first, cool. They deserve it. 4 straight AFC Championship appearances. Patrick Mahomes, we'll talk about that. But the Buffalo Bills are the most complete team in football. So those are my thoughts.
I'm glad you went there with the Chiefs, because it's just so vividly clear. Like this is a clarity I haven't had in a very, very long time. It's so vividly clear to me that we're on a collision course with the Chiefs. That's it.
It's like Dallas, San Francisco back in the 90s.
I'm so glad you said that. You're reading my mind. Get out of my head. It's Dallas, San Francisco in the 90s. It absolutely is. There will be other AFC teams that have thoughts about this, but y'all can get out the way. It just ain't gonna occur. It just ain't gonna occur. No. I watched my team, and I said to you, I said on the show that game 1 will tell the story. It's gonna tell me the story. What I talk about, checking all the boxes, everything I was looking for to seem to give me the confidence that this was a Super Bowl winning roster was checked off. And it is a very odd feeling as a Bills fan, as a longtime Bills fan, to feel this confident. It's a very, very odd feeling. I don't have any worries. I don't. Like, we have an overwhelming amount of talent on our team, like an overwhelming amount of talent. Like you hit on some of the big things, but the evolution of Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie as homegrown receivers, just give like an arsenal of weapons. Josh Allen is completely his offense, completely his show. He knows what's going on, to the point where that next level progression can begin, of where it is not about what defense he's playing, it's about how he can read it and getting enough time to read it. I'll give you one just simple example of that, just being that Like there were so many cases where obviously the game plan, particularly for the first half, was to get the call in as quick as possible to give Josh Allen the amount of time to survey the field and get the ball out of his hand as quick as possible because Aaron Donald's on the other side of that ball. But then it evolved a little bit more from that, where he was manipulating the entire defense and manipulating the way that the line blocked and where he was going to go in order to get the ball out of his hand, even with more time. It wasn't about the quickness of how it came out. It became about making the play that would give them the best opportunity to score. And the next level of that is going to be the complete control and mastery of the clock in the fourth quarter. But that will come as the season comes down. But more impressively is just I saw so many things in that game. So let me just stay on track in terms of like just the things that I needed to see. I was expecting Von Miller to dominate. I wanted to see it with my own eyes, and it was even better than I could have envisioned. More so than his own personal performance, which overperformed what I was even expecting. But then his impact on the entire defensive line. It was right there from the start, and it was just, this is going to be deadly for teams because it's not just him. He's going to do what he does, but that rotation is so very, very deep and so very comfortable in the system. And then that also leads me to like what it is that I wanted to see. I wanted to see us hit the ground running. We are in a fortuitous position, and this is how you know we're a well-run organization, where we have the tools to get the job done right off rip. Where, as we've said for many years, the first few weeks of the regular season, I would say the first month is essentially the preseason. Teams are just figuring themselves out. That's why the offensive line play looks like this. That's why the turnovers look like this. That's why weird decisions are happening all over the place. Teams are they're just trying to walk right now. Just trying to walk.
Right.
That's it. That's the first month. And so when your team that knows who it is, knows what it's doing, has all the different things in place, you don't have to walk. You can start running and then get into flying, like almost in a few weeks. And that's what I was looking to see from a coaching perspective and from an offensive defensive structure perspective. That is just that just makes me giddy. The last thing that I wanted to see that I saw was just being focused. That first game last year against Pittsburgh, we took it for granted, and it was obvious. And it haunted us the entire year. And so I wanted to see that focus and not taking anything for granted. And the exhibit one, and the only exhibit I needed to see in this, where now I get to things that I loved, were as I transition things I love. Both things occurred at the very end of the game. Like I said, if it was me, I think I said this to you, I don't think I said it on the show. If it was me as a motivator in that locker room, I'm playing 13 seconds on loop, just on loop all the time for the exact thing. You can never, ever give an inch to the other team. Just never, ever. You just got to prepare yourself like that. Doesn't matter how horrible the team is. Doesn't matter what the score is. You just cannot give an inch. That's the mentality we have to play with. That's the championship mentality. That's what's going to get you a Super Bowl win. The two things that come to mind, both at the very end of the game, one was when the Rams were driving at the very end of the game and looking to go in and score on BS time, BS score, all the things didn't matter, nothing. Padding stats, just making it look little bit better. Like that was the what the Rams are doing. And the camera panned over to McVay, and McVay was like I think is when they got inside the 20. And he was just coaching inside, like different people going in, and it was just, you could just see, it was like, no, hell no, you're not just gonna get this cheap score on us. And he just changed it, but the defensive intensity picked up, and they did not score that on that drive. Couldn't have loved that even more. The other thing that I saw was the very last sack of Stafford. It didn't have anything to do with Stafford. Stafford was beat up and broken and bloody and all that stuff. Absolutely. But I watched the offensive line, and 3 of those 5 offensive linemen struggled to get up off the ground. And that's when it really hit me. I was like, oh, we're not only talented, but we're also physical. We didn't just get past them, we beat them up on the way to the quarterback. And that's next level. That's next level. As a defensive coordinator, you gotta love that. And so when I put all that together, it just equals complete and utter confidence in my team that we're going to be coached well on all 3 phases of the game. Special teams has a little bit of a ways to go. Did not love that punt out of bounds. But the kickoff out of bounds, whatever it was. And so I think it was kickoff. Because the punt when it got them to the 45-yard line, got them their own score, but whatever. You know, but all 3 phases of the game will be well coached. There's just no doubt in my mind on that. And then the talent level matches the coaching. And when that happens, like, it's not only winning that happens, like that's when dominance happens. That's when Super Bowls happen. That's when Hall of Fame level play happens. That's when historic things happen. Is when all of those things come together. And so you have focus, you have superior talent, and you have extremely effective coaching, all working in unison. There's nobody that can handle us. There's nobody that can handle us until we get to that, till we get to I'll say their name, till we get to Kansas City. It just is what it is. It just is what it is. That's the cross to bear. That's the one. That's the hurdle. That's everything. That is it. But what's different from last year to me was last year felt like it was about constructing a team to beat Kansas City, and we lost focus throughout the year. This is a team built to beat the hell out of everybody, period. Whoever you are. I could not have more time. Tennessee is going to get it this week. Get it. And I've always been worried about Tennessee because
not this week.
Play us weird and
you shouldn't be. No, not this week. Not this week.
Everybody's going to get it. Everybody's going to get it. So I was thinking about it, like I was revisiting the record, like what I said, like I don't know where I only see 2 losses, and I have no clue where those 2 losses are going to come from because we're going to play well in those games. I think one, we get beat. Like
there's always one.
Yeah, and then there's one weird game that I just can't account for. But we're too good. We're just too good. We're too good. All those, it doesn't matter. All those national television games, we're going to smoke teams. We're going to smoke them. Like
speaking of the schedule.
So anyway, I could not be more confident in my
speaking
team.
of the schedule sets up very well for you the first month, because you're only going to have 5 games in 51 days. So the schedule really sets up with you nice in terms of rest. But of course, that balances out because you'll have 11 games in 11 weeks at the end of the season. But I think the schedule, getting off to that quick start and having guys rested, the bye week comes at a relatively good time. So, no, I completely agree with you. The team is, like I said, they deserve to be Super Bowl favorites. And I will I will be watching.
And I just love that they knew it was a message game as
Yeah,
well.
no, they handled no, they took care of their business.
It
They took care of their
just,
business. Yeah, no, they handled their
it's
business.
just all the things,
No, they handled their
all
business.
the good
I
things.
will be watching every game, every Buffalo Bill game. So be a fun team to watch. Game of the week. This was a wild game. There's always one just insane game in week one due to all the factors that we mentioned with the offensive line and teams not guys don't practice in the preseason, injuries, all that, all that shit. So this was Bengals Steelers. This was Steelers come out on top in overtime. This was one of those games where, you know, Joe Burrow is one of those, Mama said there would be days like this games for Joe Burrow. He was awful. Give the Steelers defense credit. They still have some players on that defense. We all know. Before he got hurt, TJ Watt was just destroying people. Like he was all over the place. Making for Pat Fitzpatrick, we'll talk more about him later in the program. He was all over the place. So give the Steelers credit. We know that they have some players on that defense, and we mentioned this during the previews. The Steelers are going to fight. They're not going to roll over. Tomlin is too great of a coach for that. This is a divisional game, week one. I'm not overreacting to Cincinnati from that standpoint, but give the Steelers credit. The kicker makes a big time kick after missing I think he missed like 55-yarder. And Boswell is a very underrated kicker, by the way. He's been a big time kicker for years. Very underrated amongst the elite kickers in the league. That a guy that you trust in the big spot for sure. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, this is definitely a weird one. This is a weird game. I mean, like, look, my total expectation was for the Bengals to backslide, and I've said that numerous times. So
right.
The end result doesn't necessarily surprise me. I'm just surprised with how it went down. And then to your point, if you are the Bengals, you're particularly worried because you gave so much attention to that offensive line.
Right.
It's one thing when it's just a problem gelling and you're going to get it together over the first few weeks and it's just about getting the system together. But it's another thing when you invested heavily, you knew it was a problem, invested heavily in it, and then coached about it, thought about it, problem solved it. You spent all time and energy on this one area, and it is still the biggest glaring weakness. That's a problem. You're worried. They treated Burrow like a pinata that entire game.
He was running for his life.
That's problematic. Yeah. That is just problematic. It's just problematic. It can't happen. It just can't happen. It just can't happen. It just can't. You can have bad weapons you can have horrible skill position weapons with a Pro Bowl quarterback and hope for the best, and that can look ugly and wonky and will ultimately get you beat, absolutely, but you don't lose your starting quarterback in the process of that in most cases. But you are putting him in harm's way when you have an ineffective offensive line. You're just putting him in the direct line of fire, and there's only so many shots he can take.
No, I mean, we saw that with Andrew Luck.
We just know.
Yeah.
We just know it. There's only so many shots you can take. And so that's their entire story this year. It doesn't matter what they do in defense. It doesn't matter the offensive skill position. It just doesn't matter. Everything has to be about that offensive line.
Yep.
Everything has to be. You keep all the backs, receivers coming. Everybody block. Nobody run around. Nothing happens that we can prove we can keep our quarterback upright. I mean, it's just that simple. And until that is no longer an issue, you cannot take the Bengals seriously.
No.
As you said with the Steelers, they will fight. They will fight, and they
have good players on. They have good players on defense.
The entire year. TJ Watt, torn pectoral muscle. That's a tough beat. That's a tough beat.
Yeah.
That's an absolute tough beat.
We'll get to that later.
So maybe honestly, that might be something that just saves the Steelers from themselves. They might just need to be bad for a year.
Yeah. That's a great point. No,
It
that's
just might say
great
no.
point.
It's a
Well,
tough.
here's the thing. I'm
That's
not
the
listen.
quarterback.
They still have Mitch Trubisky playing quarterback. I'm not buying any Steelers stock at all.
No. Nobody's talking about bias. I'm just talking about be really bad. So
Tell
they
me
can
be horrible so you can get their next quarterback. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got you.
nobody's buying
Yeah.
Steelers stock. They'll fight, but that is, they'll fight.
Yeah.
Like, but whatever. What does that mean? So that it could have been a middling draft pick, and so like maybe just a decimated defense will decimated their strength. A decimated defense, which is their strength, will give them permission to just be like, you know what, we got to pack it in this year.
Yep.
Let's get everybody young. Let's get them experience. Let's do all the things that we hate to do as a Steelers organization, because it's just not. We just don't have the horses. We just don't have the horses to compete at a high level. So
let's go around the league a little bit. Couple of games of note. Packers Vikings. This was a one-sided game. It from the start, you have Christian Watson dropping a 75-yard touchdown pass. He didn't get targeted again until the fourth quarter. Packers, like a few teams around the league, could not block. Aaron Rodgers was running for his life. On the other hand, Justin Jefferson, I don't quite get what the defensive strategy was against one of the best receivers in football, certainly the best young receiver, along with Jamar Chase from Cincinnati. What bothered me, again, I wasn't really surprised by this result in terms of Minnesota winning. Home game, first game of the season. We saw Green Bay get spanked last year by the Saints. I think Green Bay will be fine. I'm not overreacting, but I was annoyed from a standpoint of during the game, the commentators were like, well, you have this top corner on your team named Jair Alexander. Why is he not covering Justin Jefferson? And then, they say, well, the defensive coordinator, Joe Barry, says, well, it's kind of complicated because, they move their receivers and motion, all this bullshit. I'm like, your job as a defensive coordinator, you had a whole offseason to prepare for this game, right? You have a top flight quarterback. Your job is to make design schemes to have him on their best guy. I don't think it's that complicated, to be honest with you. Like, I just don't. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you have him. Like, if I have a Jalen Ramsey or Jair Alexander, I want them on the number one receiver. That's why they are who they are, all pro caliber cornerback. So that annoyed me from that standpoint, from a Packers standpoint. But we know, listen, Packers have some injuries on the offensive line going in. The receiver thing is going to be a work in progress. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. They didn't run the ball quite enough for my liking, but overall, give the Vikings credit. If they wanted to be taken seriously as a contender in the division, that was a game that they had to have. What were your thoughts on this game?
Problematic. So my announcer irritation was they kept talking about the receivers being young,
right,
and Aaron Rodgers' impatience, but he has to be patient, everything right there. And I think that told the story. And that's going to tell the story of the entire season. And this is what I was talking about when I made that Brett Favre comparison. You can want to run the ball all you want to, right, offensive philosophy wise, but that guy back there is not used to that. He's not used to not being the guy, not being the reason. And so that is going to be the tension of the offense all year long. Those receivers will not be able to catch up to him. It is impossible.
Right. Yep.
He has to slow down for them and make the game easier for them.
Yep.
So as of week one, Green Bay concerns me. For the first time in a long time, I'm concerned about them.
I think that I believe that they're gonna have to make a trade for a receiver. That's in the trade deadline. That's my thought.
I don't know if that saves them, but I do not disagree with that.
I'm not saying it's going to save them. I'm saying that they're going to be that's going to be their predicament. Like, they're going to eventually have to get somebody in there can somewhat concern the defense. Because right now, if I'm a defensive coordinator, none of those guys, even they get Lazard back, none of those guys can even concern me. Like, the only guy that really somewhat concerns me is Tunyon. That's it. or Aaron Jones out the backfield catching balls. Those receivers that they have, none of those guys concern me.
Nah.
None of them at all. So
you gotta be pretty special in that space, like a Gronk or a Marshall Faulk, like being a matchup nightmare back there for that to be centerpieces of your offense.
right. No. I'm saying no, exactly.
Yeah,
no, that's my point. Like, you gotta have like Gronk, Aaron
so
Hernandez.
those are your best options. Yeah, you got pop.
No, they have some major issues from that standpoint. Chargers Vegas is not the Rams, so maybe a little typo there. Chargers Vegas, good win for the Chargers. Any win you get in that AFC West is like gold. So good start for them, 24-19. They controlled the game from basically the start to the finish. The game was not as close as the score indicated. Khalil Mack made his debut in a big way, dominating the game. You see some of that Charger defense flat, show up in a big way, really controlling Carr. Derek Carr, you see Justin Herbert doing what he does. And again, it was a home game, but we know that the Rams and Chargers don't have the greatest home field advantage, despite the new stadium. But any win in that AFC West division is like gold. What are your thoughts on this contest?
Yeah, I mean, like this lets me know that the Chargers, at least of right now, the way that we kind of saw this season going is the way that it's going to go. Like they are for real. They're for real. Like that is the one caveat to what I'm talking about in terms of the Chiefs and Bills collision course. The only other team that I see standing in that way for either of the teams are the Chargers. That
they have the talent. They have the talent to make that.
If Khalil Mack and Bosa,
that's scary,
and stay healthy the entire year, it's terrifying.
Well, look at
scary. It's terrifying.
Look at their defensive talent.
They're unblockable.
Those two, and then you have Derwin James and Samuel, and J.C. Jackson in the backfield. That's what I'm talking
about last year. I mean, like they're locked and they're loaded, and so they're not quite in the rhythm the Bills and the Chiefs are right now, but you can see it. You can see it. Herbert is not Burrow.
Special.
He's ahead of him.
He's special.
In his development. So he's there.
Yeah.
They have confidence in their offensive system and what they're doing. So all of that is there. And they have talent all over the field, offensively and defensively. All the pieces are there. All the pieces are there.
Yep.
That, like you said, that was a workman week 1 win against a division rival.
A good team at that. Vegas is a very good team.
Yeah, exactly. So you are 100% satisfied with that win. You're 100% satisfied with that win. Did it look perfect? No, absolutely not. Most week 1 games will not look and feel good, but that is a quality early season win, especially given that you played the Chiefs in week 2. And like you said, you can't go down 0-2 in the division.
No.
Just can't.
No. Not in that division.
So, especially with the Chargers had to win that game. And they played a game that it was like, nope, we got to win this. We're not playing around here. No games is being played. And even though there were some bright spots for Oakland, the Chargers, talent-wise, are just better. Like week 1, really, like it cleared up the AFC West. It really did. It cleared it up pretty much off the bat. Where Kansas City is just going to roll, and they're, I was hoping there would be some some figuring things out. But I mean, it's whistling in the wind. Reed and Patrick Mahomes are in sync. They figured it out. It is what it is. Like so they're number one. The Chargers, talent wise, coach instructional, like they're there. They just gotta I think they're a few heartbreaks away from where they need to be.
Yeah, they gotta get those playoff reps.
But talent, yeah, all the things are there. All the things are there. And then the Raiders are a good football team, but they are challenging. They are challenging to buy into because their play is just so inconsistent.
They're an enigma. They are an enigma. They're gonna be the enigma of that division. Them and Denver.
So I think they have flash talent, but they don't have consistent talent.
Right.
That is my overarching thought process on them after week one. After week one win. But with that being said, they're gonna be a hard fought victory for every team. So they're no pushovers, but I do think like we said, every team believes they can win the Super Bowl in that division. I now think two teams truly believe that in that division. The other two don't believe that anymore. They got a lot of work to do before they can get to belief. Reality hit them square in the mouth. And the Raiders got hit square in the mouth by a division rival. So that makes it even harder.
Dallas, Tampa Bay, this was simply just a methodical ass whooping. Tampa Bay just smothered Dallas. Everybody knows how I hate Dallas. So I enjoyed this to a T. Every minute of it, every second of it, it was just beautiful. To be honest with you, coming into the season, we knew Dallas was not in the same class as those Super Bowl contenders. I thought that they weren't even as good as they were last year. The offensive line has taken a step back. They got some people injured on the receiving corps, which they'll get back, but even still, that's very shaky. Defensively, they actually played relatively well. Couldn't stop the run, but at a certain point, if your offense is giving you nothing, you're gonna just break down, which happens. And then we know Dallas' defense is built on speed anyway. So Tampa Bay was like, okay, Tom is not great right now. He'll let him work his way into the season. We're gonna pound you with Fournette. We know the offensive line is having trouble blocking Micah Parsons. We'll just run the ball down your throat and take our and leave it to our defense because we know you basically can't cross midfield, basically have nothing on the outside. So give Todd Bowles credit from that standpoint. And again, this was heavyweight versus middleweight. These teams are not in the same class. Tampa Bay just simply dominated this game and took care of business. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like everything, I agree with you. Dallas, goodbye. Like there's not even like a big reason to talk about them, to be honest with you. So Dallas, goodbye. I was more analyzing this from the Tampa Bay perspective, and am I worried about them? I'm not worried about them because what they're relying on is their technical proficiency as a veteran team, which will get you victories against sloppy ass teams, but not uber talented teams. So I think, like you said, like it was a game plan that was specifically designed to beat the Dallas Cowboys in week one of the season, and they executed that game plan very well, as they would, and Dallas reacted very poorly. The big hit for them is what's the quarterback's name?
Prescott.
Thank you, Dak Prescott. And so like I hear that the escalator, he'll be back. Like whatever, none of that matters. Honestly, none of it matters. Because even if he rushes his way back, what it won't be. It
Well,
just
I mean, listen. Here's the thing: that no one's running away with that division, so they're not going to be out that division. But big picture,
sure.
they're not going anywhere. So
Right, exactly. Sure.
that
If we
even
just
if he wouldn't have got hurt,
if we're just talking about winning the NFC East, which is a conversation that makes me sick, sure, whatever,
yeah,
fine. Win the NFC East.
Yeah.
Do not care.
Right.
At all. My thing was, could Dallas be like a national threat? Could they be, everything? No, they'll just be a talking point to boost ratings. And fine. That's
like
fine.
they have been the last 25 years.
And then I think in this season will be an even tougher hit. So I just get to sit back and enjoy.
Here's the thing. This is going to begin. The Sean Payton watch is going to begin. The Sean Payton watch will begin sooner than probably later. That's why.
Out of the places for Payton to go where I'm not concerned, that's one.
Yeah. Go to the
enjoy that experience.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy. You ain't signed up for this, homie.
No.
Well, it's gonna be a rough season for you.
Yeah.
All your little blunders, and you don't. Yeah, it's gonna be rough. Yeah, Dallas will struggle this year.
No.
Go.
They have a lot of holes. A lot of holes.
This is Merry Christmas for you. This is.
I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love every single.
Oh my goodness! What always say, get your popcorn ready.
Get your popcorn. Yes, ready. Please get it ready. I'm gonna love every single
week to week.
Moment.
Week to week.
Every single moment. Getting back to Tampa, a team that actually matters. As long as number 12 is upright, they're good. The NFC is not that. The NFC is not strong. They know how to win. Tampa will be fine. Now, like we'll see what happens if they get to the Super Bowl. That's miles away. But Tampa's fine. They'll tweak the offensive line. I'm sure they'll be in the mix for they have to be in the mix for some offensive line help. We know they're hurt there. We know that the offensive line is not great. But again, they know how to win. The coaching knows how to adjust to to game situations, in-game change, like in-game movement, stuff like that. That I was very impressed with the preparation and very impressed. Like, it's great when a black coach has an actual guy who knows how to play quarterback. We kind of see what happens. Tony Dungy with Peyton Manning, they kind of do their thing when they have the actual quarterback who is competent. So, and get another chance, of course. So I think Tampa right now, class of the NFC, as long as number 12 is upright, they're fine. They're fine. I was very impressed with the defense. Not again, Dallas' offense is pedestrian, but their defense, they have some, those linebackers are the truth. The secondary is tremendous. Who won the week? For me, the Kansas City Chiefs won the week. As impressive as Buffalo was, the Chiefs kind of said, you know what? Our name is our name. We are who we are. So we still got that guy, number 15. We still have the best offensive mind in football in Andy Reid. And this is what we do. Just like Buffalo's game was a message game and a statement game, that Kansas City game against Arizona 44-21 was a absolute message game to not just only the AFC, but to the rest of the league. We're still here. We've been the preeminent franchise over the last 5 years. We've been to 4 AFC championships, couple Super Bowls. Yes, we only have one, but guess what? We are this. You have to go through us. Patrick Mahomes couldn't have played better in the first half. Before you blinked, it was 14-0, and Arizona had no chance in this game whatsoever. Again, the game was a clinic. I love some of the stuff that they're doing with like the 3 tight ends. Some of the sets that they were running, got back to the power football, running the ball. It was just a masterpiece of an offensive performance to watch. Vintage Kansas City Chiefs. And again, to your point at the beginning of the podcast, we are absolutely on a collision course for Kansas City Buffalo. What were your thoughts on the Chiefs?
I mean, I alluded to some of the thoughts. I mean, uh, like it's just quite simply, Reed is the offensive genius of a gener. I mean, he's just an offensive mind of a generation.
He's a savant. He's a savant,
Just
obviously.
is, and he has his perfect quarterback. I mean, he's perfect. It's just perfect. Um, like I was making a comment after at work. I was just like, Patrick Mahomes 405 TD games are like the old school 303 TD games. Like it's nothing. He throws 5 TDs. Hello?
I mean, wait, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. He throws 5 TDs like it's nothing. They're just so very good. They're a machine offensively, and they present all the problems. Patrick Mahomes is a monster, and it is. There's nothing left to say, but just to, like you said, it's just it. Kansas City will always be a problem as long as Patrick Mahomes is playing quarterback for them.
So
Always be a problem.
here's the thing.
With that being said, like their Achilles heel will be whenever they feel like they go into that Golden State Warrior mode.
Right.
Whenever they feel just uber confident, that's when mistakes can happen. And that's when they can let take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. But other than that, the offense is just so overwhelmingly a machine that the defense doesn't have to do a whole ton to stay there. The only thing that so Kansas City's very good. Like that's the definitive statement. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are both savants. It's psychotic how good they are. How easy they make it look. The defense will come around as the defense normally comes around. For them, it's just paying attention to those times when they feel really confident and taking their foot off the gas pedal. Other than that, when they want to beat you, they can absolutely destroy you. And so that puts the fear of God in most teams. And so you have to have an offense that can counterpunch with them. You just have to. It is a must. It's an absolute must. Arizona didn't have anything resembling an offense that could counterpunch.
The thing I know is about that
They were
game
dead
too.
before they stepped on the field.
It was there. It was the fight. It was like like an old Mike Tyson fight.
They didn't even know it. They were dead before
they were dead. Yeah, no, it was over before it started. The thing about the game that jumped out to me as well was, and we saw this last year with Kansas City, the opposite, the lack of patience. They were very patient in that game, offensively, matriculate the ball, to use an old Hank Stram term, down the field. Like it wasn't
That's
like
the reason you get rid of Tyreek Hill. You want to restructure the way that you saw that defenses were gearing to not let you go over the top. And you said, okay, we're going to lean into that.
Yep. Ran the football.
I just was hoping it would take them a while.
Yep. Did not. No, it's not.
Like not even a little bit. At all.
No. So yeah, that team is, they are. This is who they are. This, like you said, you got Reed, Mahomes, one of the best offensive lines in the league. And they can do whatever they want. They really can. Biggest disappointment, I had two in particular. 49ers to, and I understand the weather was horrible in Chicago, but there was a point in that game when 49ers was up 7-0 where I said the Bears are not going to score. That's how bad the Bears offense looked. Not Trey Lance, but I forgot the Bears. I didn't forget blanked out on the Bears quarterback. Makes one crazy play and the floodgates open to that was just an embarrassing performance for San Francisco. Just embarrassing. Chicago's not any good. Like Chicago shouldn't have been able to cross mid. Like Chicago shouldn't have been able to score 3 points on that defense. Like San Francisco still has a top defense. Um, Justin Fields, that's the Bear quarterback. He made that one crazy play where he threw basically a ball that I thought was going to be an interception. Where he's running near the sidelines and throws across his body, and the receiver was wide open. That's when it was like, okay, now you gave this team life, and the Bears never looked back. Give the Bears the offense credit from standpoint of coaching. Only 17 passes and 37 runs. Okay, so they know they like, okay, we're gonna protect you from that standpoint. But that was just a dreadful performance. And I'm telling you one thing. I watching that game, and this is not overreaction. Garoppolo by week 3. Garoppolo will be in there by week 3. Trey Lance is not ready to start for an NFL team right now. He's just not. He's not. That's it. He's not. Like, I don't know what type of quarterback Trey Lance will be in the future. In 2022, he is not a NFL starting quarterback, period. And that team, I read an article Jay Glazer reported, and this is troublesome too. I don't know if you heard about this. Jay Glazer reported that the coaching staff had to go to like 15 veteran players in the locker room and say, "Hey, if things get a little rough, make sure you stick with Trey. Trey's our guy. Make sure don't let's not jump ship, so to speak. So like one of those. I'm like, if you actually believe in Trey Lance, would you have to go and to your veteran players and say something like that? That to me, when I heard that report, I was like, this is not like you don't believe in Trey Lance. Like they don't believe in Trey Lance. So
I didn't even need that. I didn't need that report.
No, you didn't. No, yeah,
they signed Garoppolo to 1 year deal. They signed him to 1 year. Like you don't do that if you have faith in the next guy. You don't bring the quarterback that started for you for years and brought you to playoff success. You don't bring him back if you're like, we're ready to move on to the next thing. You don't. It just like that screen, like we're not sure this guy and he's going to have a short hook. That just screamed that. And so, yep, it makes sense. And, this I don't know who to worry about. We talk. Arizona, San Francisco, I have no clue to worry about more. They're both worries.
No, I don't.
I'm worried. Both of them.
I don't trust neither one of them. You're right.
That's it. Just worry. Just concern all over the place.
Yeah,
concern.
I don't. I don't. That was that. Like I normally don't overreact to week 1, but that was a dreadful performance. The Bears are awful. The Bears are awful. Oh my goodness, the Bears are bad. The Bears are so bad. There's no way. Like I said, they should. With the defense San Francisco has, the Bears should not be able to score barely more than 10 points. Like no.
It's just a horrible loss. It's horrible.
It's a horrible loss. It's a horrible loss.
It's just a horrible loss.
Nathaniel Hackett, of course, had a rough debut for Seattle, for Denver. Not so much in losing the game, which it was a bad loss. It was a bad loss, but just
it was insane. It was insane.
But
it was insane. I don't like. It was insane. It was insane. It's like you've never watched football ever.
It's like, dude, so
when all of us are collectively just going, what are you doing? And you're the coach of the team. What is going on? So why do I know more than you?
If you didn't, for friends who didn't, for the people who didn't see the game,
you lost your mind. That is like
4th and 5.
It's always so surprising when professional athletes and professional coach when they for real have a mental breakdown.
Hold on. 4th and 5, 2 timeouts. You attempt a 64-yard field goal with a kicker not named. I know the kicker's a big time.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
With the kicker not named Justin Tucker, and you have Russell Wilson.
Literally, it doesn't matter.
So it was one of those. Even it was so bad. Here's how bad it was. Even after the game, he said. Even after the game, a day later, maybe he didn't say it directly after the game, but a day later, he was like, "Yeah, I should have put the ball in Russell's hands." Yeah. You like that's how bad it was. Coaches never come out. Rarely a coaches in any sport ever come out and say they fucked up. Even with a bonehead play. That's how bad it was. I can count on a half a hand how many coaches have came out to knock themselves even after a boneheaded play. So that's how bad the decision was. So it was like it was like what am I watching here? Like did he just do what he did what? So my thing is this, and I know Russell Wilson said all the great right things. He's a leader. All the right things afterwards, saying, "Hey, I agree with the decision or check whatever."
Yeah,
Me and Nathaniel Hackett, if I'm Russell Wilson, had to have a conversation after that game.
you are. Of
Like
course,
like what? Like
you're having all the words
like what?
in the locker room. Of
Yeah,
course,
behind closed doors, me and you. No, we have to have a conversation. Like let's put
because
all
the
this
coach
shit on
will
the
have a
table.
conversation with you if you just lost your mind like that. It's like for me when Josh Allen threw that ball up in the air, like what is even going on? What is happening?
A 64-yard field goal.
What is happening? You just it's just always so weird when it's just like I mean, like we use the word choke, all those things, and when it for real, just no way, like when it's just so obvious and just right there, like it just is always just throws you off. Like, well, you're a professional. They pay you to do this job.
They pay you.
You have trained for years. Like you've done all the things. Like what? And that's how you just know. It's just like, yo, he just panicked and just
oh my goodness,
went crazy. It just went crazy. There's no logical reason. There's nothing. There's no logical reasoning.
And the thing about it, I'm trying to I wasn't defending it, but I'm like, I was like, yo, I was like, maybe they have no timeouts. They had 2 timeouts.
No, there's just no logical reason. He just went crazy.
Like, no, they had 2 timeouts. Like, come on, you had 2 timeouts. Like, what are we doing here? That was like a J.R. Smith drilling the ball out. Like, man, like
goodness. It's just like what?
Yo, oh man. So yeah, I still like Denver's team. Like I like their talent. I like their talent a lot. Russell Wilson played well, threw the ball well. They were bad in the red zone, had the 2 red zone turnovers. That's continuity, getting to know each other, that's things of that nature. And if you're gonna lose a game, they lost. It was out of conference, out of division. So, there's such thing as a good loss. Again, I see they should beat Seattle, but out of conference, out of division, you can somewhat live with that. But what you can't live with is your coach just losing his mind. That's not a good omen for the season. When the games get bigger. Well, I never listen. I didn't like his father, Paul Hackett. So anything Hackett, I don't like. No, I don't want to. The Hacketts in pro football have not been good.
Going in. I mean, I think as you was talking, I was thinking about when my head coach started, Nathan Peterman. I wanted him fired immediately after that disaster. So I say that to say these moments happen, not like this in every case, but moments happen. And of course, his career is not written. It just began. So you have that. But what this does let me know is that, I'm not worried about Denver at all. Not even
as a Super Bowl contender. No.
He's going to get better, but it's going to take years. To get to a certain level. And that's the best you can hope for. Because otherwise he's going to be the thing that keeps your team from winning. And then that will be problematic.
Yes.
Once what's the saying? Once is a
accident, 2 is a trend.
There you go. There you go. This happens again, it's a big problem.
No.
Right now we can just chalk it up to he lost his mind in this moment. Panic, he choked all the things.
First coaching, first game of his career, coaching head coach.
All the things you can chalk up to, but this can never happen again.
No.
This can never happen.
This can
never ever happen.
We covered this with the injuries at Watt and Prescott. stock up, stock down. So I had stock up, and I got to watch this like in person, basically. Well, not at the game, but I was zeroed in because they were playing my team. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a monster. I was beyond impressed with just the poise, whatever that it factor that the great quarterbacks have. He has it. He was running for his life a lot, on many downs, and he has nothing around him. There's no talent around him, and he almost beat us by himself. Uh, Again, it might not happen with Doug Peterson. If he ever gets any credible structure or foundation within that franchise, he is going to be a major problem. A major problem. He has all the intangibles, everything that you would want in a franchise great quarterback. I couldn't be beyond more impressed with a quarterback who lost the game than I was with Trevor Lawrence. I really was. Um, Minka Fitzpatrick was all over the place. I mean, you can't play a better game. You blocked the potential game-winning extra point, 14 tackles, the pick six. Um, Came off a bad year last year, but I mean, he dominated that game. Like, he basically won that game for Pittsburgh. So that's who I had for stock up. What was yours for stock up?
Um, I think do you want me to respond to these or
Sure,
just
you can respond. You and both. Yeah, you both. Yeah.
no, I mean, I think I'm nowhere near as high on Trevor Lawrence as you at all. Minka Fitzpatrick is an absolute beast. Um, so I mean, I would say the things that really really impress me. Of course, it's stock up on Kansas City and on Buffalo. I'm in a Super Bowl state
Yep.
of mind, and so
Yep.
all things that aren't about that don't really concern me like that. So I'm on a huge stock up on those teams. And then the ones that we talked about, team wise, stock down big time on Denver and stock down big time on the Dallas Cowboys. In particularly, if I wanted to relate it to the injury conversation, it would just be stock down on TJ Watt, stock down on Dak Prescott, two major contributors to their team that are going to equal to their teams losing a lot of games. And so then what that entails does is where I wasn't as high on the Eagles, now my stock has to go up on the Eagles by virtue of Dallas just going to completely bottom out, in my opinion.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And then stock has to go up on the Baltimore Ravens. Just by default, I think their division is going to be wonky, and they'll be in a really, really good position to be even more successful than I think even I anticipated in picking them as division winners. They didn't look amazing in their first game, but by de facto that division, I think they're just going to have a much easier time than even we thought about, because I think Pittsburgh is really really going to struggle this year.
Stock down the New England Patriots. Let me give you this, and because they got manhandled, of course, by Miami 27. It should have been even worse, actually. Let me read you the Belichick quote. It really was a pretty even game, Belichick insisted. 2 big plays, 14 points that really skewed the game. Moved the ball, couldn't get enough points. We got into their territory 6, 7 times, whatever it was, only had 7 points.
Yeah.
Got to do a better job of finishing. Defensively, gave up a big play there at the end of the half and a couple of field goals. But still, we got to play on third down and get the ball back at the end of the game. Not good enough things to win. A couple of bad plays really hurt us.
Yep. All accurate. All accurate. And you lost. Things aren't as cute when you don't got Tom Brady. It's just not as cute. So sure. Yep. All those things are accurate, and you got your ass whooped. So Merry Christmas for being able to accurately diagnose why you got your ass kicked. Good for you, Bill. Good for you.
Oh man.
Yep. Oh. Yep. Now it's just shoe on other foot, and it's glorious. It's glorious.
Oh
It is.
goodness.
None of it works when you don't have Tom Brady.
No.
Just none of it works. All the things that used to be like, oh, but none of it works. None of it works. So you keep on doing you, Bill. You just keep on doing you.
Before I let you go, you want to first of all let me comment on something on the scheduling. Just a scheduling just a game that should not have been scheduled tomorrow. That Charger Kansas City game should not be a Thursday night game. Like I'm just that is a Sunday night 4:25 Sunday afternoon late game. That game should not be Thursday night. Like it's too good of a game. It's too good of a game Thursday night. So I had a little issue with that. But we'll look forward to the game. Kansas City's kicker is out. Buckner, whatever. I mean, that could play. It probably be a close game. It could play a close.
It
Play.
could.
And Keenan Allen, more importantly, is out for the Chargers. That will play a role. I guarantee you, because Keenan Allen is a Pro Bowl caliber receiver. The Robert Sarver situation. Of course, Robert Sarver, owner of the Phoenix Suns, that was suspended for a year, fined $10 million for comments, not only comments, but just workplace behavior, like exposing himself to male employees, sexual, just all types of just
he did all
shit.
The things. All
the things. Yeah, all the things.
Everything you can't do at work, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Everything.
Racial, everything.
All
he covered all the boxes.
Everything you can think of, he did.
So the NBA, I thought the NBA went NFL like on him, not going all out, because truthfully, there was the only difference between what he did versus Donald Sterling is there was no video or audio, right?
Yep.
To be honest with you, and also this is the big one. Let me read you some quotes from 2014 when the shit came out with Sterling. Here's the late Kobe Bryant. I couldn't. This is on Donald Sterling. I couldn't play for him. LeBron James. There's no room for Donald Sterling in our league. There's just no room for him. Magic Johnson. I feel sorry for my friends, Coach Doc Rivers and Chris Paul, that they have to work for a man that feels that way about African Americans. So there was outrage from major players, iconic players that got Sterling's ass up out of there. There was no outrage from the players this time in regards to Sarver, and that is the thing that probably saved him from being out the team. And plus, this is a different time now. That was 8 years ago. But again, those two things: no video, no audio, and also no player, no player backlash. So if you're wondering why Sarver is, still owns the team, those are the two biggest reasons why he still owns the team. What were your thoughts on the situation?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, wow, this is awful. And like, how can you be a boss and do these things? Like, how can this be a thing that happens in this progressive league, that the supposed progressive league that is the NBA? And so I think that there is more to be written and talked about on this story, because I don't understand how you can just laugh this off or just be like, well, you got I got that consequence, and so now we're moving on. And so yeah, I just think there's a lot of conversation and dialogue that needs to be spoken on this one. That's yet to be spoken, right? Like, there's just a lot that needs to be talked about.
There was an investigation that included 320 people, 80,000 documents. Okay.
Yeah, no, right. It's thorough. It's all the things.
And
all the things.
Here's what I think. Here's what I think happened. This is why I said the NFL, the NBA went NFL. I don't think that the NBA wanted to go all in, go all out in terms of getting Robert Sarver out of there, because I think that they did not want this hanging over their heads going into the season and throughout the season. And I believe fully, based on just how Sarver, his persona, that, and just the kind of power that these owners have in general, these owners are more powerful than they've ever been in all sports. Okay, that he's not going quiet and say good night. So now
No, 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 absolutely
we're
not.
talking about we're talking about months and maybe years of litigation. And
Absolutely.
this is a story that, will, again, this is like a black cloud over the NBA for the NBA season. The NBA season, the NBA wants you talking about not Chris Paul. The NBA wants you to talk about Ja Morant, LeBron, Giannis, the new free agent signings, and Kevin Durant. That's what the NBA wants. The NBA does not do these type headlines. That's why this story basically was almost sat on for like a year in terms of when this popped off versus when this not so much comes out, but
Yeah.
the suspension. So the NBA doesn't that's not what they want. They are as image conscious as
And the
anyone.
story conveniently drops during week 1 of the
Oh,
NFL
damn,
season.
right, exactly. No,
Mhm.
no, that was
Yeah.
very that was orchestrated pretty, like, yes, that they knew what they were doing from that standpoint. That was absolutely by design, no question about it. So NBA, and plus, the NBA. I don't know if you heard, the NBA is already they're going to do this in season soccer like tournament. So the NBA, they just want you worried about basketball. Period. That's it. That's all the NBA wants you to worry about or concern yourself about. Trades, on the court stuff, young players. It's a stars league. It's a players league. What have you? Again, the players didn't want them to get up out of there. It's a different world than it was 2014. A lot of these players are friends with these owners. Period. A lot of these they're partying with the Michael Rubens. They're partying with these guys. That don't and Robert Sarver. Yeah, he had some friends on that team in terms of players. They're maybe not friends, but in terms of like business partners, and there's a lot of tech stuff going on. So it's the money. The money carries weight. That type of shit carries weight. That's all it is to it.
Here's quite simply like Sterling, all the isms, but he wasn't liked. Nobody liked him.
No. Sterling.
This guy, all the isms, but he's a well-liked racist.
Yes. And Sterling,
well-liked bigot.
And let's be honest about Sterling. At that point, you're talking about 30, 40 years of racism and putting tenants and tenants and all that shit.
Yeah,
they were ready to put Sterling out the pasture.
He was obviously horrible, kind of like Weinberg is obviously horrible in every single way.
Right.
Which then makes them an easy target. And then you're absolutely right. It becomes a little bit more complicated to just put the hammer down and take the absolute high road when this guy is not only invested in what the Suns organization is all about, his own personal best interest, but also mixes in with a lot of high profile celebrities and players.
Yep.
And there's not the same animosity towards him because he's friendly. He knows how to be friendly with it all goes back to Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee's story, right?
Right.
Like how you love Michael Jordan and hate and be racist against black people. It's that same. The people that he's hanging out with and messing around with, he doesn't consider he doesn't consider as like what he's calling everybody else, like all the different isms, all different things. So he's just a likable bigot, but a bigot nonetheless.
Yes. No question. I mean, no two ways about it. Yeah. So not the end of the.
It'll be interesting to see if people actually like care about like how people are treated, or is it who's the person who's treated people badly?
I think, and you could speak to this. Is just we see it in real life all the time.
Yeah.
The popularity, how you treat people, how people perceive you, it just is it can't. It goes a long way. Like if someone fucks with you, then you have more leeway to do bad shit per se, for lack of a better phrase. Like if the rope will be a little longer versus if you're viewed upon as being a piece of shit. That's just all it is to it. Like that likability goes, it just carries weight. Like, you know what I'm saying? And again, to the earlier point, the money aspect of this, we live in a society materialistic, chasing the bag. That's just how, like, this dude obviously had a lot of friends, has a lot of friends in terms of that he's helped make rich as well from a standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like he clearly has that going for him from that standpoint. And these players in the NBA more so than any time in the history of the NBA are businessmen. They are these guys. You don't see a lot. These guys are not, to their credit, you don't see these guys are not going broke. They're not making bad. They are making these guys, even the non superstars. These guys are having business. They're having thriving businesses. They're having investments. That's how they move. That's how they're moving. So they're not. They're gonna choose. I would call the term I would use. They are convenient capitalists. Like they're only gonna go so far with protesting or stuff like that. As long as it don't affect their bag. That's the bottom line. So they're not going they're not going to go so far with the revolutionary and that type of stuff. They're not going to do. There's no Kaepernicks in the NBA. Okay, put it to you that way. This is not. This is not. Got some dudes that's doing some great things. LeBron doing some great things. Number of guys do charities and give back to communities. Not taking away from that, but they're only going to go so far with pushing human rights and women's rights and things of that nature. It's only if it starts affecting that bag, then it's like, yeah, he's not that bad of a guy. So, this story is not done, and we'll see how it plays out. Mr. Sapp, week 1 is in the books.
Yes, sir.
I am definitely looking forward to tomorrow night's game, though. That'll be a very interesting.
That's an epic one.
That's a great game, man. It's a great game. With the Chargers, they've had some battles in the last couple of years. The Chargers have no fear of the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not scared of them at all. They have no fear of them. So that'll be a fun game to watch. Not too many big time matchups in week 2. To be honest with you,
yeah, which is fine.
This is fine. It's week 2. It's fine.
Everybody's trying to get their feet on the ground and stack wins. That's what you're looking for as a fan. You just want your team to stack wins early.
Another team I'll put on before I let you go be on the concern list. I'm very concerned about the Tennessee Titans. Very, very. Like, you lose a home game to the Giants, like, nah, like that's not good. That team that's not good at all. Now again, Indianapolis had the tie, whatever. But the Titans, good for Saquon Barkley being able to stay on the field, but that's
down Indianapolis. That tie, that wasn't good.
That was horrible too. You should not. No, you can't. Yeah, no, that was bad. To Houston, no, that's bad. That's not. No, you can't tie to Houston. Like I said, Houston's one of the worst teams in the league. You can't tie to Houston. So we'll see what transpires in week 2, Mr. Sapp. I will see you next time.
All right, sir. Appreciate you. Have a great week.
All right, you too. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. As always, this podcast is sponsored by All Calculated Measures. Shout out to my man Adrian. Shout out to Adrian and his gear, and a lot of his gear, hats and stuff. He has new stuff coming up. Adrian McDonald, new hats and things of that nature coming up, producing all the time with stuff. So you can go to his website, to his Instagram at AMC Lifestyle. And again, you can always subscribe to my YouTube channel right here, www.youtube.com/C/Ril Dil podcast. This podcast will be up early tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your evening and week as well. I will see you next time.